Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Psych Talk. Today we're talking about relationships and about the grass is greener mentality in relationships and why so many people fall into this trap, what it really means, and why nurturing the relationship you already have might be the best decision you ever make. So, have you ever caught yourself wondering if you'd be happier with someone else? Maybe after a fight or when things start to feel routine, you start thinking about what it would be like to be with someone new, someone who seems more exciting or easier to be with. And so today, we're talking about that feeling, why so many people believe the grass is greener on the other side, and why sticking it out and putting effort into your current relationship might actually make you way happier in the long run. I have met so many people who, when faced with a problem in their relationship, don't focus on solving that specific issue. Rather, they look for external validation from other potential partners. So instead of asking themselves questions like, how can we grow from here? Or what am I learning about myself and my partner? They start thinking about all the things that are wrong in the relationship and know what is great about the relationship. And they also start thinking about everything that is wrong with their partner while failing to acknowledge their own imperfections. So some people, rather than working through their struggles, they get distracted by the idea of someone new and they start looking outside the relationship. So they get interested in novelty, daydreaming about that perfect person they have just met. So they start making comparisons to their current partner, how the new person smiles, how they communicate, how exciting they seem. And so slowly, the fantasy of a better relationship starts to take over. And eventually, they leave believing you found someone better. But guess what? They realize this new person has flaws too. The same arguments, the same misunderstandings resurface, and sometimes they come to a harsh realization. Maybe the problem wasn't entirely with their ex. So this cycle of dissatisfaction, searching and starting over can become a pattern. And if left unchecked, it can prevent us from ever forming deep and meaningful relationships. But it doesn't stop there. For some, as soon as the initial infatuation fades, they suddenly believe they're no longer in love. And so the cycle begins again. New relationships, new arguments, and that elusive promise of lasting happiness that never quite materializes. And so the chase for novelty becomes endless. And before you know it, you're constantly changing partners, always seeking the next spark, hoping it will solve everything. But here's the truth. This constant search for something better often leads us right back to the same problems. We end up facing the same challenges over and over again because the real work, our individual growth, and the nurturing of our current relationship is left undone. So not only we're not growing as a person, because yes, we usually grow and learn a lot about ourselves, our behavior patterns, and our past traumas through our relationships, whether it's a romantic relationship or friendship, but also we're not creating long-lasting and trusting relationships. We're not capable of that, and we're not learning the necessary skills or communication tools to keep our relationship alive, to sustain and nurture our relationship over time. So now, let's flip the script. What if, instead of searching for something better, you focused on strengthening the relationship you already have? Every relationship has highs and lows. There will be times when your partner frustrates you, times when the routine feels mundane. But what if? Instead of seeing those moments as signs that the relationship is failing, you saw them as opportunities for growth. So when you focus on cultivating and nourishing your relationship, something beautiful happens. The initial spark, that infatuation, doesn't just fade away, it transforms. So you start appreciate the small moments, the shared laughter, the quiet understanding, and the pride you feel when you look back at how far you both have come together. And so over time, you discover that being together is not about constant excitement or novelty. It's about being a team. growing together, overcoming obstacles, and learning from one another, and growing the feeling that no matter what happens to you, you will always have your partner helping you, that she or he will always have your back no matter what happens. So you stop playing those childish games like trying to make each other jealous or seeking revenge. Instead, you work together for the sake of the relationship, celebrating every victory, no matter how small. And so, imagine being together for 20 years. Think of all the experiences, the challenges, the fun, and the love you built together. Maybe you have bought a house together or have children, and you both one day sit down on the couch and reflect on that and think, look at the beautiful work we have done together. Look at how well we have raised our children and how proud we are of them. That feeling of knowing you've weathered storms and still find joy in each other is one of the most rewarding experiences life can offer. Now, let's take a step back. Here's a scenario to consider. Imagine you're a woman experiencing ongoing relationship problems. You and your partner keep arguing about the same issues, but you're not entirely sure why. And instead of working through the problems, trying to find a compromise, or even making an effort to understand your partner's perspective without judgment, you meet someone new. This new person seems exciting and refreshing, mainly because you haven't seen their flaws yet. Suddenly, you start thinking about leaving your partner rather than putting in the effort to fix what's broken. Or worse, you justify having an affair. Now, flip the situation. Imagine you and your partner are in your 40s, and one day he meets a fun, beautiful young woman around, maybe in her 20s, and he meets her at work. Would you want him to give into temptation, throwing away everything you've built together? Or would you want him to nurture and strengthen the relationship he already has with you? The reality is that every relationship will face challenges, and every new person will eventually reveal their flaws. The question is not about whether there's someone better out there. It's whether you're willing to invest in and grow with the person you have already chosen. Again, we're not perfect, nobody is, and we're so accustomed to point the finger at our partner's imperfections and not looking at ourselves and how annoying we might actually be. And so, are we quick to criticize but slow to self-reflect? Are we expecting our partner to be flawless while ignoring our own imperfections? One of the most important things to consider as well before entering a relationship is what kind of partner you truly want. Ask yourself, do you want to get married? Do you want to have kids? If those things matter to you, it's crucial to be with someone who shares the same vision for the future. Being with a partner who doesn't want a marriage or children when you do is a recipe for frustration and disappointment. You can't enter a relationship expecting to change someone's mind. And the same goes for lifestyle choices. If you're someone who loves being active, going to the gym, playing sports, or taking long walks, it helps to find a partner who enjoys a similar lifestyle. That doesn't mean you have to be identical in every way. Differences are inevitable, and having unique perspectives can make a relationship more dynamic. But when it comes to big things like your future, your values, your long-term goals, it's important to be aligned. And when disagreements arise, as they always will, the key is learning to compromise and find common ground rather than expecting the other person to change who they are. And it's completely normal to feel frustrated or even momentarily hate your partner when you're in the middle of an argument. But have you ever noticed how, once the issue is resolved, you look back and think, wow, I can't believe I actually wanted to end this relationship. When you take the time to get to the root of the problem and work through it, you not only preserve a beautiful relationship, but you also learn something new about yourself, your partner, and how to navigate challenges together. If you're someone who has been in multiple relationships and tend to leave as soon as problems arise, it's worth asking yourself some tough questions. Am I walking away because I don't want to deal with the conflict? Am I self-sabotaging out of fear of attachment? Am I scared they leave me first, so I leave them before they get the chance? These patterns don't come out of nowhere. They are often shaped by childhood experiences and the relationships we had with our parents. And so, reflecting on these can help you understand your own behaviors and give you insight into what you might need to work on to build a stronger, more lasting connection in the future. Every couple goes through phases where they feel annoyed, frustrated, or even question the relationship. But there's almost always a way forward if both partners are willing to put in the effort, learning how to communicate, practicing conflict resolution, and sometimes even seeking couples therapy can make all the difference. However, if you're with someone who refuses to compromise, is not willing to meet you in the middle, and doesn't see the relationship as a partnership, then it makes sense why you'd consider walking away. The reality is, maintaining a healthy relationship is a two-person job. Sometimes both partners need to make sacrifices because everyone has different boundaries and needs. But before jumping to the idea of sacrifice, it's important to first try compromise, finding solutions where both people feel valued and respected. Relationships are not about winning or losing, they're about teamwork, growth, and understanding. And when both people are committed to that type of framework, the connection can become something truly special. And so the world is full of smart, beautiful, and interesting people that you'll naturally be drawn to. But if you leave your partner every time you meet someone who seems more compatible or exciting, the cycle will never end. There will always be someone new who seems like a better match at first. And so real love is not about constantly looking for something better. It's about choosing to grow and build with the person you're already with. And don't get me wrong, sometimes when couples fight, they think, okay, it's done, it's over, we can't compromise on this, or we can't actually talk about this because I get triggered, he gets triggered, and etc., etc., etc. But then if you take some time alone and have some space for yourself, then you start maybe looking at things more clearly and you can both come together. But obviously, again, couples will go through that many times in their relationship. And as long as you have that conflict resolution, communication skills, you can pretty much overcome anything. Also, another thing I wanted to add is that giving into temptation is literally looking for lust. And it's not something honorable. It's not something that you should be looking for. It's like, let's say you're on a diet and there's a chocolate cake, and you think about, well, if I eat that chocolate cake, then I will not comply to my diet and I will gain weight and blah, 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 blah. And so, but if you do not give in and if you do not actually eat the chocolate cake and you stick to your diet, then you're not giving in to lust and you're not actually always seeking pleasure or short-term gratification. And so let's say you're a religious person and you believe that lust is a sin, then you can clearly see that, quote unquote, the devil is trying to make you sin and make you give in into the thought of a new exciting relationship and basically just make you give in into temptation. And so what's the takeaway here? Instead of constantly searching for that elusive perfect relationship or the next exciting spark, take a moment to look at what you already have. Ask yourself tough questions. Work through your problems together. And remember that every relationship has its flaws. The magic happens when both partners commit to growth, to healing and to building a life together. Cultivate your connection. nurture your love, and trust that the grass can be just as green where you are if you care for it. So, I'd love to hear from you. What are some ways you've nurtured your relationship? Have you ever been tempted to look for greener grass, only to realize the true beauty was in what you already had? Share your stories with me here on the comment section below. And thank you for tuning in today with me in this episode of Psych Talk. If you enjoyed today's discussion, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might need a reminder about the beauty of sticking together. Until next time, keep nurturing your relationships, and remember, sometimes the best grass is right where you are.